You probably think your everyday choices are your own. But in 2026, predictive algorithms actively engineer your decisions. Enterprise AI has moved out of the experimental phase. Corporations are now engaged in a disciplined march to value, deploying artificial intelligence at a massive operational scale to guarantee a return on investment. This operational scale relies on agentic AI. These are autonomous digital systems that execute complex, multi-step business goals entirely on their own, without a human in the loop. To maximize that return on investment, these agents are no longer restricted to optimizing supply chains or balancing inventory. Their primary target is human psychology. Think of your mind as being surrounded by a cognitive perimeter. This is the psychological boundary separating your own independent agency from external algorithmic control. That outer layer of defense has fallen, allowing algorithms to restructure our relationship with the physical and digital world. This is the Federal Trade Commission in Washington, the center of a regulatory battle over how companies steer consumer behavior. Corporations now use shared data algorithms to coordinate dynamic pricing, while banks deploy hyper-personalized financial journeys that anticipate your life events before you even search for them. To drive impulsive buying habits, these systems specifically target System 1 thinking. These are your fast, automatic, emotional responses to sudden external stimuli. The algorithms simultaneously feed information into your System 2 pathways, the slow, deliberate part of your brain, altering your long-term preferences and societal trends. They enforce these behavioral shifts using synthetic media. Highly targeted deepfakes and AI-generated narratives are deployed to trigger specific emotional responses, effectively hijacking your attention and your wallet. In the modern consumer market, the concept of independent choice is replaced by calculated algorithmic nudges. This behavioral engineering continues when you log into work. Inside the corporate network, employees are now the primary targets of algorithmic optimization. Human resources departments use predictive analytics driven by the FEAST framework. That stands for fun, easy, attractive, social, and timely. It's a method of designing subtle, automated nudges that continuously mold workplace culture and individual habits. They combine this psychological profiling with physical surveillance, using office sensors to generate behavior-based space insights. These sensors track congestion zones, desk usage, and spontaneous collaboration patterns. The software then dynamically adjusts the environment, modifying lighting or releasing meeting rooms to physically route workers through the building like data packets on a server. The modern office is a space where even a casual conversation by the coffee machine is often the result of an algorithmically predetermined workflow. As you can see with this EEG cap setup, the cognitive perimeter collapses when we introduce brain-computer interfaces, or BCIs, directly into the workflow. Employers are now utilizing affective computing. By reading brainwave activity, managers can continuously monitor an employee's cognitive load, stress levels, and raw productivity from the source. Connecting the human brain to corporate IT infrastructure introduces a severe cyber threat vector called neural hacking. Researchers have already demonstrated how external attackers can inject adversarial noise into an EEG signal. This malicious code deceives the neural interface, causing the system to misinterpret the user's actual thoughts and execute arbitrary commands. Because these attacks operate at the neurophysiological layer rather than the software layer, an employee's biological thoughts have become a documented entry point for corporate sabotage. This is the European Parliament, the site of a global pushback that culminated in the August 2026 enforcement of the European Union's AI Act. The legislation establishes strict red lines, expressly prohibiting AI systems that use subliminal or deceptive techniques to distort human behavior. It also makes it illegal to exploit the vulnerabilities of specific demographic groups, and crucially, bans deploying emotion recognition systems in workplaces and educational institutions. Artificial intelligence's capacity to understand and manipulate human psychology is now recognized as so dangerous that key global markets have outlawed it. This creates a difficult balance for corporations operating under the new model P&L standard. They have to prove the financial value of their AI investments without crossing the legal line into psychological coercion. This technological battleground centers on cognitive liberty, the right to maintain control over your own internal mental processes. As agentic AI continues to scale, society has to decide, if we will allow enterprise software to engineer human behavior as a standard business practice. Because the next time you make a purchase or adopt a new office habit, you have to ask yourself, was it really your idea?